Thank you. Good afternoon, Vinny. You spoke last week about your team going in the right direction. What have been, from your assessment, what have been the big improvements from the performances lately compared to perhaps some earlier in the season?
No, I think there's a good block of games in which we've performed well, and I think in this league, like in every other league, it's about the consistency of it. So consistently, we've had good performances, but of course, if the results, if we're able to match the results with the performances, then that would be the goal, of course.
All young players need a breakout performance. Did we see that from James Trafford in the game against Brighton?
No, I thought it'd been good before that game, but it's a type of game. If you're going to get any points against these type of teams, someone needs to do something special, and it was him on the day. And again, I think for him, it's about the consistency again of producing good performances. But he's been on the same trend as the team.
He dealt with a little bit of criticism earlier in the season, but does his turnaround, does his performance, does it kind of epitomise what you talked about in that elite mentality you've got?
Yeah, we all had to deal with a little bit of criticism. I think if you don't win games, then that's what happens, and it's part of the question always is do you have the talent and the mentality, and those two things he has. So. But it's been no different for anybody else in the team.
Sean Dyche brings his team back here to Turf Moor for the first time since he left. What is the kind of feeling around the game? Does it add some sort of extra dynamic, perhaps, having Sean bring a team back here?
I don't know. I think, it certainly adds something. I can't deny it. I mean, I've been... I had the first time as well when I went back to the Etihad, and it does something. But I think soon as the referee blows the whistle, I think we're all back to doing our work, our job, and in those moments, I think we can be, we could be friendly before and after the game. But during the game, I think it's going to be business as usual for both teams.
Sean was here for such a long time. Obviously, had some fantastic success. Is there anything from that period, from his legacy, that still exists today? Yeah,
loads. I mean, I was thinking about it a little bit this week. I think every club. I mean, you always have the longer history, but in recent history, I think certainly every club will have a reference point. And for this club, Sean has been a reference point in recent history. I don't think anyone did better than him, and. But it's no different. I think every club has that. There'll be someone like this at Everton. There'll be a reference point at any other club in this league, and I think you always have to appreciate what everybody has done for the contribution of these people for the club. And as a manager, you're always looking towards what are the good habits that you can retain and build on, of course.
And just finally from me, going back to the meeting you had with Everton earlier in the season in the League Cup, I mean, obviously the scoreline was very much in their favour, but you dominated the ball. How do you utilise that possession at Turf Moor? How do you change the result and maintain that kind of retention and what you're trying to do in control of the game?
Yeah, I don't think especially knowing the quality of the teams we face. There's not one moment where I'm even thinking about just the aspect of possession. For me, it's just making use of the ball to try and score a goal, creating chances. So we were dangerous in that game. We had our moments, but obviously the ball has to land in the back of the nets, and I think for us that's just the chances can come from any type of phase. I'm not really bothered. Could be a counter, which I would appreciate. It could be, the way we've created our chances from numerous phases. The main thing is that we put the ball in the back of the net, and yeah, you're always hoping before a game that this is the moment. This is where it happens. Thank you.
Just moving on from one of the points that was mentioned there, one of the things that, if you look at Everton, how they were last season and how they are now, Sean really seems to have instilled a sense of resilience in the players, particularly with everything that's happened to them. How much do you admire that quality in their side, and how much of that do you think you have in yours?
No, the team is definitely well coached, and you can see that the team is alive. So they've had some good results this season, and of course, you know, they've got some players who are also performing at the levels at the moment. So I don't know, it's a good squad, it's a good team, and with a lot of clarity in what they do, and that always gives you an edge, and eventually gives you results as well.
One of those players in particular that's really stood out in recent weeks is Abdoulaye Doucouré. How impressed have you been with his attitude this season, the way he's played?
Yeah, look, I could assess a lot of players in their squad, but obviously he's been a threat. The work he does defensively, and then, you know, his timing to arrive and be dangerous as well in the box. But yeah, it's a team. It's a team with good players, and when it comes to us, I think every weekend we have the feeling that we're playing against teams with good players. You know, I was not so long ago talking about Cunha from Wolverhampton, you know, but in reality I should stop doing that, because every team's got a few of them, and we should again focus on our own performance and our own players and how they're coming through this game and what they can offer to bring the game outside.
I'll ask you again about individual players again then.
Well, we just need a little bit more time then.
Yeah. Just in terms of your squad, any players likely to be coming back then? Is there any update at all? You told us about Koleosho. Obviously you're going to be out for a good while. Is there any update on terms of a prognosis or how long he's likely to be out or anything like that?
No, I mean, for Luke, anything he's still able to give us this season is a bonus. I can't give you much more than that. But on a positive note, the surgery went well, so he'll make a full recovery and he'll be back as new when the time's right. But we can't put a real timing on it for now. And other than that, we've had a few players that were out with niggles and that weren't really available. We hoped certainly to get them back before, if not the Everton game, the Fulham game, but it's going in the right direction in terms of availability for the squad.
Hi Vinny.
Hi there.
How's Lyle getting on? Is he back in training now?
Yeah, Lyle's making, I think the way you describe it is progress. We still follow him closely. He's still receiving treatment. But you know, we've been fortunate that we've been able to work on the fitness side with him. So you know, his progress is what you would want it to be in terms of his mental health. But physically, he's in a good place as well.
Is that physical fitness taking place here or elsewhere?
Well, it started elsewhere, and then obviously we're kind of progressing into the next phase.
No sort of timescale yet on when he'll be back.
I don't want to. I'm not able to put a timescale on it. The thing is for me that physically is in a good place, and it seems like we've made progress. So we'll see.
The South Africa squad was named today for Africa Cup of Nations. Were you surprised his name was in there?
Yeah, no, but he unfortunately at the moment he's not in a position where he can go to the national team. He just can't. It's not something he can do at the moment of going away for a long time. And being in an environment, a very different environment, you know, his love for his country has no limits, and his desire to do well has no limits. But that would be going against the advice of every expert that has been assisting him in recent months.
Has that conversation happened yet?
The conversations are ongoing, but from my side, you know, and I know it's more difficult for him to manage because of course you've got and me as well, you know, I'm a coach from African origin, so for me the AFCON is very important. and I feel very proud of any player of us representing us there, because I think that tournament deserves the same importance as the Euros. But for his condition specifically, the human being, which is the person we've treated in the past month, the human being, is not at a stage yet where he can do any of that, and hopefully in the future he'll be able to do much more for his for everybody on the big stage, but step by step.
Thanks, Shamoon. Should we go to Radio Lights on the back row?
Hi from the cheap seats.
Hi there. Yeah.
What would it mean to you to get back-to-back home wins?
They were the top seeds last season, isn't it?
What would it mean to you to back up a home win with a home win? I know there's been away games in between, but Turf Moor and that sort of mystique that it has about it.
Yeah, I mean, look, the lads are always hungry to play those games and at home, but what would it mean is always such a difficult question to answer, because everything, always. But that's how we live our life towards the job. But right now the game needs to be played, and to play the game we just have to make sure we're prepared to the best of our ability and get the guys really hungry for every minute that needs to be played on that pitch.
Obviously Turf Moor has that reputation, doesn't it, and has always been a difficult place for teams to come
Yeah.
to. I know atmosphere has been talked about a bit this season. Do you expect there to be any difference in the atmosphere with the manager coming back and a couple of players coming back here? Does that have an effect in your experience?
No, I don't know in which capacity the atmosphere has been mentioned. It's probably been in terms of I know it's been an ongoing discussion, but from our side, the atmosphere has been brilliant. We played Sheffield; it was a great atmosphere. We played West Ham, and it was great. But of course, there's been a couple of games early on in the season where we weren't in the game, so it's no different than I've been at Turf Moor once. I think we won 6-1. You know, when you can see 3 or 4, the atmosphere is not the same as when it's 1-0, 1-1, 0-0. You know, and for us, it's our job to keep the game alive. That's what needs to happen. And in recent games, every game has been alive, and then we've benefited from tremendous support and atmosphere. Yeah.
And people going back to old clubs, we talk about, are they going to get a good reception? Are they going to get a negative reception? Does that make any difference when you're the home team?
No, I mean, not to the players, I don't think, or not to myself, and obviously, but like I said, I've been in the position of being the one that comes back as well to another place, and you know, until the moment when it happens, maybe you have a bit of anticipation, but afterwards, your priority is on the game.
Just on the sort of bigger picture, Everton obviously with the deduction, and I think since you played them in the League Cup, they've lost 1 game. Does that show that if you can find a way to get those results and get on a run in this division, you can still shoot up the table?
You can. You have to have the belief, but like, I think we have to just make sure we don't confuse things. It's not because we're close to each other in the league table that their performances have been anywhere near it. You know, they've been a solid team in this division this year, and so I don't judge the administrative side of things. You know, somebody's decided that they should be deducted points, but I don't judge that. For me, I judge the team for what they are, and they're a good team. So the fact that they're picking up points, it's no different than, like I said, when we played West Ham and these teams. They're good teams in this league, and Wolves, and we just have to make sure that on the day we are at our best, because otherwise you can't do it against these teams. They're a good side.
We talked about mini leagues before, you know, the bottom part of the table, whatever you want to call it. Would you consider Everton in that because of the maths?
I think I've just answered the question on that.
So
I can't judge a team based on what the maths have been, of how the maths have been manipulated, if you like. In my opinion, what I've seen of them, we'd be making a big mistake to treat this game any different than we've done in recent times. And we've been in games, and we have to try and do everything we can to get a result, of course, on the day.
Thank you.
Thank you. We've got to Ellie PM Edith behind you.
Thank you. Hi, Vinny. Yeah, just on the points deduction, it seems like it's maybe, although obviously not what they would have wanted, maybe it's had a galvanizing effect on them. Do you feel something like that? Can can it need something like that maybe to really push you to the next level?
What's the question? Do we need a point reduction to get galvanized?
No, not referring to you, but can something like that, although it seems like a negative,
I know I was mischievous. I
sort of turn out to be in some ways a positive?
Do you know what? I really don't try and draw too many comparisons. From my side, I don't feel I need to be galvanized too much. I think the team is alive. The team is fighting. The team is doing everything it can. And if we were really going in a wrong trend, let's say, then maybe you need to boost it. But at the moment, what we need is just to give ourselves a chance to reward ourselves for the performances. And at the moment, that's where we've been lacking. We've not been able to put a lot of games to bed, despite the fact that you could say that the point in Brighton was a fantastic point for us, and that gives us something positive to build on for before getting into the next game.
What type of reception do you think Sean will get coming back to Turf Moor?
Honestly, I don't know. I can imagine it's going to be a pretty warm reception. At least I would hope so, because of what he's done for the club. And then we'll move on very rapidly to what's on the agenda for the day, which is 2 teams playing at Turf Moor, of which we want to make sure we win.
People can sometimes have short memories, can't they? But how important is it to recognise the contribution that he did make?
I think it's important because, ultimately, especially, when you get to look at what the club has achieved, that's what I was trying to say before. I say, because I can think, my mind is now because obviously we face Everton, but David Moyes might be the person that represents that for Everton in recent history, and for Burnley it's Sean Dyche, and I think those moments have to always be first celebrated, but also used as a reference point, because everybody that comes after has only one ambition, is to try and see if you can do better than that, and it's difficult, really difficult, and that's why you call it a reference time or performance, right? But what do you have if you don't respect your history? They're important things, and the now is just as exciting.
Brilliant. Good luck on Saturday.
Thanks, Ellie. Just the final bit in the embargoed section, if we go to Matt Scrafton.
Thank you.
From the
Hi, Vinny. How's Aaron Ramsey doing after his issue last week?
Fine, as in, I think we can exclude any kind of dramatic scenarios with him, but at the moment it might be touch and go for Saturday.
You've not had Michael Obafemi on the bench in the last 2 games. Has he picked up another knock?
Yeah, but again, short-term issues, so nothing major. Hopefully the fitness is there for them to compete, but we should have them available very soon.
How tricky has that been for the last week or 2 without having that sub-striker on the bench, though?
Yeah, I mean, look, Jared's done terrific work, and I think the term striker, it's something. Look, I'm not going to change your minds on this, but the term strikers, we have attacking players, and who can fill in the role. You have to have a little bit of balance, but if Lyle doesn't play, if Jared doesn't play, if Oba doesn't play, we still have guys who've played in that position before in their careers. Whether it's Bruno Larson or Nathan Redmond or other players. So you don't want to be exposed, but we have attacking players who've done the position before.
This past week, we've seen Josh Brownhill linked with other clubs again. Obviously, he's got an option on his contract. Do you expect that to be triggered, or would you like to see him tied down to a longer deal with the club?
We've not for 1 second discussed Brownhill being anywhere else. Yeah, they're rumours that I can't even entertain.
But in terms of his contract, I'm guessing you'd like to see him tied down for a longer deal.
Well, you mentioned about the option. I'm just going to trigger the logical sense right in this one. So you mentioned about the option. If we don't trigger the option, what happens? He goes on a free. Come on, guys.
Answers that one. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Matt.